What's up, guys? It's me, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to draw Captain Price from Modern Warfare. In today's drawing tutorial, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be using a mechanical pencil. It is recommended. You can use a regular, of course, a eraser, and a handy-dandy pencil sharpener if you're using a regular pencil. So, for Price, we're going to make him to the pose where he's kind of swaying off to the right, in a nonchalant pose, and having an assault rifle in his hand and looking straight at you with a stern look on his face. Make a line protruding upwards. This is going to be the indication for the left side of his torso. And off to the further left, down below, we're going to go ahead and make a big circle. Now this is going to be kind of like his sleeve for his shirt. And then we're going to make a protruding warped triangle, which is going to arch off to the top, which is going to form our first left shoulder. This is a rough sketch, so simple shapes are going to be expected here. Don't worry about rough lines, this is a rough sketch after all. So take your time and be as sloppy as possible, it's fine. Now, this is a more complex drawing, but guys, if you take more time on it, it's going to be awesome. Now we're going to make the other side of the torso to complete the overall sketch of his body. Now, his arm, we're not going to make a circle for that because his right hand is not going to be visible to us. It's just going to be, off to the side right there. We're going to arch that line off, make a nice shoulder, then boom, we got two complete shoulders. Let's go, baby. Kind of fleshing out his neck right there. Erasing any additional rough lines. Down below, I'm making a smaller circle within that big circle we made earlier. And this is going to indicate his hand. Now, protruding off his hand, make an index finger, which is going to be kind of sticking off to the side, kind of look like it's going for the assault rifle, for the trigger of the assault rifle. Now the other three fingers are going to be kind of like facing downwards. Now it really just depends where you place your drawing and where you decide where to cut off certain features. Because the pictures that I had the fingers more visible, but I decided to cut them short. So I don't have to spend too much time on making fingers and hands. I can make some good looking fingers and hands, but I know for you guys it might be complicated, for others might not. But we're not really focused on the hands. We're focused on the main features of what makes Captain Price. But of course, when you're making hands, you want to make sure that you get fairly accurate. Now, what we're going to do after making that hand is make the assault rifle. Of course, we won't have to worry about the hand gripping the barrel, because the barrel of the gun will not be visible, nor the right hand. So this is pretty simple. Now, you know me, if you saw any of my previous videos of making, if you see me make a character that's holding a gun, what I do for the gun, I make a basic sketch of the weapon, whatever it may be, and it'll just be kind of square and symmetrical shapes. Basic outline and overall, vision of what I see the gun, and how I can simplify that into a sketch. So it's good to observe the drawing first before making a sketch, so you can pick out some very key shapes, like, oh, that guy's head kind of looks like a circle, so I'm going to go ahead and flesh out a circle right there. That guy's shoes kind of look like round, elongated ovals, so I'm going to do that. So yeah, basic examples right there. It's good to have some key shapes to keep in mind to make it more simpler for you. Now we're going to make the gear for Captain Price. It's going to be littered all over his shirt. There's going to be wires connecting to each piece of gear. I think this is communication gear right here. So, it's going to be a little bit complicated going over every piece of equipment that he has, but they're pretty much simple shapes. Just like roundish rectangles and just, wavy lines that indicate his wires. And we're going to make the collars right there, which are kind of like wavy, warped, Dorito-shaped little shapes right there. I just made his white shirt. It's pretty simple. Just a white collar that's separating his neck. Down below, he has kind of a utility belt right there with a metal buckle, as you can see me making. And then we're going to make the strap that is going to go up and over his right shoulder. Now, I noticed that I didn't make my shoulder big enough, so I erased that previous sketch and went ahead and tweaked it a little bit to where his shoulder is more broader. Right here, we're going to make the little satchel packs right there, little pockets of his shirt. Keep in mind, make his shirt look really, roughed up and stuff, like he's just been to a previous firefight engagement. We're going to add in some wrinkles right here, which are pretty much like wavy lines, but make sure that, they go along with the clothing, make sure they're, because when you're making a character, you want to make sure, whatever action that they are in, you want to make sure that, the clothing is kind of like waving, kind of forming with the character's movements. Now, Price is going to be in kind of like a stationary pose, so not too much, fancy detailing that we need to make for, his clothing wrinkling details. Now, I'm just making a basic diamond roundish-like shape for his face, and I'm making the ears on both sides, which are kind of like ovalish shapes. As you can see, I'm making his iconic signature Fisher hat right there that he always carries with him. I don't think he ever takes it off, except that one part in Modern Warfare 2 where you save him from the gulag. Made the strap on his head, and I went ahead and made the cross symbol for his face. That outline right there, as you can see, is the beard. Made another little circle inside there, made a line to indicate his mouth. Another shape to indicate his lips right there. So that's going to be where we're going to place his mouth and his beard. Above that, in the middle of the cross symbol, go ahead and make a nice little nose protruding upwards. Then above the upper line right there, we're going to make his eyes, which make little football shaped eyes and little circles in them. One circle for the iris and a tiny little black dot for the pupils. Now he has some big puffy eyebrows, so don't get to make those. They're really close, and kind of the Fisher hat is kind of covering the right one, as you can see right there. So finishing up on the eyes right there, make them look a little bit symmetrical, congruent to each other, to make them look too indifferent. So you can pause there if you want to see, the overall sketch of what we made of Captain Price. Now, my favorite part, the detailing. This is where we're going to put the folds of his clothing, the wrinkles. Now, you're going to see where I made this grid-like shape for his shirt. Now, I do this to add in the stitching detailing, which is pretty easy. Just make, light lines that are just going upwards of his clothing. I also do that for his Fisher hat. It just adds more, detail, just makes the drawing look, deeper, more realistic, That's that special touch. So I'm adding some more detailing right here. Now, this drawing took me a long time, guys, but trust me, if you take your time on a drawing, it's going to look 10 times better than that sketch that you started out with before. Make some rough stitching here and there. Have fun with your drawing. Don't go basically whatever I tell you or whatever the source image tells you. Add maybe some blood stains on Price. Make him look like a roughened up guy. It doesn't really matter. It's your drawing, it's your paper, it's your pencil, it's your creativity. Now right here, as you can see, I'm fleshing out the clothing, making the wrinkles darker. Now, keep in mind, what you want to do is keep each little section of clothing darker outlined. Like, for example, like I did right there, I made the pockets, more, stick out more by adding a darker outline. Don't forget about the shading as well. There's also tiny bits of shading here and there. The collars drooping, over the main shirt of his body, so make the shading right there. There's darker tones and lighter tones of shading literally throughout Captain Price's body. Of course, you want to add in as much detail as possible. Guys, this isn't really a hard drawing at all, you just need to be patient with it. Now, that belt strap right there, It kind of folds a little bit at the bottom, as you can see right there at the buckle part. I'm still fleshing out pieces of the buckle, kind of going back and forth at the pouches and stuff. Now at the button part, where he puts together his shirt, there's a lot of stitching right there. Of course, make those 2 buttons. Can't forget the little simple details. Now I'm fleshing out his shoulder right there. Now I'm kind of coloring this, his body as I'm going, with the pencil lead. I wouldn't really recommend colored pencils with this, they don't really work out. There's some shading right there in the middle of his little metal buckle right there. Make some, light wrinkles right there. I added some wrinkles, for extra detail, extra style, if you know what I mean. Completing his utility vest here and there. Then I'm going to go ahead and make his beard. Now what I do, I just make nice, simple, dash-like lines, and I just continue that off the beard. Now, that shape that we made earlier for the rough sketch is kind of like a really cool template, and all we have to do now is just, make curvy, like, hair-like lines. And as you can see, they kind of look like realistic pieces of hair when we're doing it. Of course, flesh out the mouth right there, make it darkened, add a little bit of lip detail here and there. His ears are not too complicated at all. Now, this guy, he's an old guy, so don't forget to add wrinkles here and there. Darken in the eyebrows, flesh out the eyes, of course. I would recommend coloring the irises. Now, the Fisher hat, I need to add that it's going to portray a shadow over half of Captain Price's face. So, those wrinkles that you made right there, they're going to be kind of like overcasted by the shadow that we're going to make, but you can easily add them back in, and they'll look better than ever, because you got that extra shading detail that makes the guy makes Price look more, mean and, stern, more a badass, might I add. Now, his chin is kind of adding a lot of dark tone shading right there. There's a lot of dark tones of shading, a lot of medium and light shading here and there, but mostly medium shading for Captain Price's upper portion of his face. Now, don't, make the rounds of his eyes too dark. We don't want to make him look like he's wearing eyeliner at all. Fleshing out his face, adding more wrinkles here and there. Make sure you flesh out the wrinkles with a, darker tone of pencil lead. Then I'm fleshing out his Fisher's hat, making some nice grooves and wrinkles right there, adding in some more additional shading down below. Now, the strap of his hat kind of reminds me of a belt, so just make, lines that are kind of making separate squares right there. Just color that strap in as well while you're at it. Adding in more shading on those rough folds we just made. Now, a good thing to add is a communicational device he has on the right side of his ear. Pretty simple. That wire is going to be protruding down into the right side of his collar right there. Fleshing out more lines, making the beard more hairier, maybe adding some more wrinkles here and there. Might want to make the hat a little bit darker right there. So this took me a long time, guys, but remember, this is going to be awesome when you're all done with it. So down the video, go back here and there and see any details that you missed. Now, I know that the body might seem really complicated to you, but trust me, it really isn't if you just take your time with, each part, each section, like the pockets, and the utility vest and all the, communication gear. I had a lot of fun with this, guys. Let me know if you did too. You can see my hair right there. Sorry about that. But right there, we're just making the detailing for the guns, for the one gun. We're making the stock right there, which has kind of like ovalish lines that are going downwards. Now, as you can see, I didn't really pay attention, I didn't really add too much detail here to this gun, because, well, there's not much of the gun to see, really. Basically, what I just did is just make some lines protruding downwards. Now, they're not the most perfect lines. You can add a ruler if you would like. But I just made some basic detailing. Didn't do too much. Didn't take too long on it. Of course, make some scuff marks like I'm doing right here. You want to make the gun look, really scuffed and, like, battle-torn in a way. Make some nice scuff marks. Now, what I want you to do is, make the gun darker, because as I was, making the gun, I noticed that it kind of blended in with the shading of Captain Price's shirt, of his body, so I went ahead and made that darker like it's supposed to be. Made it more of a darker tone of black. Right there, as you can see, it sticks out more from his body. Stock kinds of blends in. You might want to fix that, where I have failed. Of course, you want to darken in those lines after doing all that dark shading. Spiffing up the drawing, make some tweaks here and there. Of course, you're going to have to make some definite tweaks after, your rough sketch here. Now, this is optional, guys. After all that hard work, you can add some style right here. I just made this a little text I thought it would be neat to add, and I had the space to do it. And if you do, I recommend you doing this as well if you have the space. This is a quote from, an iconic quote, might I add, from Captain Price. It's called "Stay Frosty." This is kind of like a stick-like text right there. Pretty simple to make, but I recommend a mechanical pencil for this. I use all capital letters right there. Kind of, made them play. I kind of placed them here and there differently, to add in more style. Kind of critique myself on that. Right there, Stay Frosty. Of course, guys, this is optional. You don't have to add in any text at all, but I thought that would add in some extra flair and style to it. So there, guys, is Captain Price. That basically wraps up the whole drawing. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. And guys, I will catch you on the next drawing tutorial, so have a good one. And hopefully, Modern Warfare 4 Remastered will be great. I'll see you guys.